Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 9 of your SAT prep sessions. For math, we are once again sticking with the combination geometry rules, angle sum theorem, and your transversal rules for geometry. We're going to practice those some more. So we're going to jump right in here. Remember that this is the last week before Thanksgiving break, but that does not mean that we're done. We're not done until the SAT happens in your junior year. So example 1 says, in the triangle to the right, A is equal to 45. What is the value of B? Well, if A is equal to 45, then that tells us everything that we need to know to solve for B, because the triangle angle sum theorem says that the three angles in any triangle add up to 180 degrees. Well, the three angles are 2b degrees, 31 degrees, and 45 degrees. Those have to add up to 180. By solving this equation, we will then have our answer for what is b. So first we combine like terms. 31 plus 45 is 76. We then subtract 76 from each side of the equation to isolate our variable. Gives us 2b equals 104. And then to get rid of the 2, we divide by 2, because that says 2 times b equals 104. That gives us that b is 52. That is A is the correct answer. B is 52. Now this is by far the easiest of the three examples on the page. It only uses one of the very important rules from geometry, and that is the triangle angle sum theorem. Again, the three angles in any triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. That is a fact that you are supposed to know for the SAT. It is not listed on any reference sheet. It's just something you're supposed to be familiar with. On to example 2. So on example 2, we have some parallel markings. It says in the figure below, AB is parallel to CD. What is the value of X? Well, they're telling you that AB is parallel to CD because what that means is that angle BAD, you know, the 3x degrees, is equal to, or is congruent to angle ADC, which is the y plus 5 degrees, which means 3x and y plus 5 are equal. Now that does not help you right now, because in order to do that, you need to know y. Okay, so, well, we can find y because we have triangle ACD, which means that 2y, 4y, and y plus 5, the three angles in that triangle, they all have to add up to 180 degrees. So we would start off by combining like terms. 2y plus 4y plus 1y would be a total of 7y plus 5. We would then subtract 5 from each side to get 7y is 175, and then divide by 7 gives us that y equals 25. Now, if y is 25, that's valuable to us because that allows us to plug it in right there. So that would give us 3x is equal to 25 plus 5. Add like terms, 25 plus 5 would be 30. And then to get x by itself, we simply need to divide each side by 3 to get rid of the 3 in the 3x. X has to be 10. So there's example 2. Now notice that you have to recognize that you have a pair of alternate interior angles, and that alternate interior angles must be congruent in order to solve this problem. You also have to recognize that the three angles in any triangle add up to 180 degrees. Because if you don't recognize that, you can't find y. And if you can't find y, you cannot find x. All right, one example to go. So let's go take a look at example 3. Now example 3 says in the figure below, BC is parallel to DE. What is the measure of ADE? So the fact that BC and DE are parallel, the reason that we care is because that means that we have corresponding angles. It means that this angle in here has to be 3x degrees, and it means that the angle we're trying to find, ADE, has to be 9x degrees. Now 9x is not an appropriate answer, but that means if we can find x, then we can turn around and find the measure of angle ADE. Well, we can do that relatively easily if we recognize the corresponding angles, because that gives us triangle ABC having three angles, 8x, 9x, and our corresponding angle to the 3x degrees, which would be 3x. Those three angles form the triangle, so they have to add up to 180 degrees. Add like terms. 8x plus 9x plus 3x is 20x equals 180, and then divide by 20, and you get x equals 9. That is not the answer to the question. We then need to turn around and say, what is the measure of angle ADE? Well, ADE corresponds to the angle that is 9 times x degrees. And now that we know that x is 9, we can plug that 9 in to find the correct answer to the question. ADE is an 81-degree angle. Okay, so you know how this works. We're now off to our Google Classroom to complete the skill check for the week on Quiz Is. Remember that this is included in your math class grade, so you need to take your time and think your answers through. Go do that Quiz Is now. Thank you very much for your time and attention.